it seemed to be that the play for Wake Forest today was throw it up and wait for Clemson to commit a pass interference penalty,
Yep.
right? I mean that seemed to be the play of the day for Wake Forest. That seemed to be. I mean, what was Wake Forest? What was Clemson's penalty yards on the day?
Oh,
They go
I don't.
175.
Let me look it up. No, it
It's,
had
it's
to be. It had to be over 100 yards.
oh
There's
no,
no
That's what
way.
I
it was
said.
definitely over 100.
I said
I'm just trying to remember if it
175.
was like 150. Was it
I think it
175? Did
was
it
70.
really get up? Oh man,
175
That's what
was
I
it that
thought.
much?
was.
That's what I thought it was. That's what I thought it was. I'm looking for it too, but I thought it was
All right,
75.
hold on. I'll look it up.
120.
Yeah,
10
10,
penalties
10
for 120.
penalties, 10 penalties for 120 yards for Clemson. And that's kind of the story of the game, right? The best Wake Forest play today was have your receiver run deep, have it beat Clemson's DB, and then have Clemson's DB commit a pass interference. And you just throw it in vicinity of said receiver. And that was good enough for 15 yards guaranteed. Every single time today, it was absolutely crazy to see. We will start on the defensive side of the ball today just because it was such an egregious performance, in my opinion. And I know everybody in the comment section is looking to us to talk about the defensive side of the ball today, to talk about especially the defensive backfield, the back part of Clemson's defense. What do you think was going wrong with Clemson's defense? And this goes for both of you. What was going on with Clemson's defense in the back end today? I know we started a bunch of people that wouldn't necessarily start if we had a completely healthy defense, but it seemed that we were getting bullied on the back end today. What do you guys think?
I'm gonna say I blame Wes Goodwin because I said they should have stuck with a cover two. If you go look, and also Phillips, that first touchdown Wake Forest scored, Phillips
Mm-hmm.
came up on that mesh play that gave them that touchdown. But I thought they should play cover two or the shell. So when they started doing that, I'd rather for you to run the ball, which has been Wake Forest weakness all year, than throw the ball with Hartman and those receivers. They said they had three good receivers. So I blame the coach for putting them in that position. Let's
Yeah.
play shell. You try to get the big play. Let those guys that are uh, all these first round so called draft picks that we're supposed to be having, let them rush the passer. And they get a couple yards rushing, so be it. But I really blame the coach for putting them in that position because all of them were young. Yeah, they high talent, but they still was young, and that's who I blame for putting them in that position against the spirit second receiver core.
Yep.
Okay,
I,
Jordan, what do you think was going on?
Yeah, I'm with DeAndre. I think the first person you have to look to is Wes Goodwin. I just
Yep.
the position that he put his corners and safeties in was less than ideal, and you're and it's not like this is something that we haven't seen on tape before. We've known going into the year, and then we saw through the first 3 weeks of the season that this Clemson secondary, these corners are not experienced, and they don't they still have a lot of work to do. And
Right.
I agree with DeAndre. I would have just I would have sat back in soft zone and dared them to run it, which they finally did towards the end of the game. But it was such a late adjustment. I would have gone with that from the start. We knew that Wake couldn't run. If they got to if Wake runs on us and beats our defensive line, and when we're playing soft zone,
Then
so
it
be it.
is what it is,
It
right?
is what it is. I'd rather lose that. I'd rather lose that way, and the Wake have to work it down the field instead of hitting explosive, pass plays, and our DBs giving them free first downs from penalties. So Wes Goodwin, he takes the brunt of the blame first and foremost. But I also want to. I still want to talk about the corner play, both the secondary play in general, because while West didn't necessarily put them in the best position, they made a lot of mistakes.
I mean,
Uh,
it was a
they were
myriad of mistakes, right?
their press technique was awful. Just a lot of a lot of free releases, a lot of not really flipping your hips, and it looked like they were a step behind the receiver every time Sam Hartman threw it up, and it was frustrating to watch, and they didn't get their head around. And it just wasn't. It was not good. And the safeties, I'm also disappointed in, because when they were supposed to be, give the corners help, they were sitting. You saw Jalen Phillips on that one play,
Yep.
biting up on the run on that slow mesh, and I'm like, why are we telling them to even play the run right now? I would rather let our defensive line and our linebackers handle that. You stay deeper than the deepest guy running that you see, like. That's what you're coached to do, is stay, be deeper than the deepest guy. And
100%.
You didn't see that from the safeties, and it was really frustrating. They were biting too easy. I'm like, why? We don't need safety help in run support right now. This is
No.
If they get a decent 5 or 6 yard run, I mean, it is what it is. But
look, at the end of the day, Clemson was lucky to win this game. Let's be honest. Clemson was lucky to win this game. We did not play well. I think the offensive performance came out strong early on in the game. I think the defense got some stops early. And then I'm not really sure what happened. The defensive end on the defensive end, the defense started getting attacked. They started getting exposed in the secondary. And there was never really, in my opinion, any adjustment by the Clemson defensive staff from whether it be halftime on. I don't think we really adjusted. I think that Wake Forest recognized early that we were outmatched on the defensive side of the ball as far as the DBs go, and they were just willing to throw the ball up, and it worked out for them a ton. I mean, look at it. We had 10 penalties for 120 yards. 10 penalties for 120 yards.
And quite all, like what, eight or nine, it's got to be 8 or 9 of those were pass interference. It feels like. I know we had a false start.
Absolutely.
And maybe a holding at one point.
But the bulk of those, the majority of those 10 penalties were pass interference penalties.
Yep.
Because DBs were getting beat, just absolutely destroyed. And I get it. We're playing some freshmen out there because we have some injuries. But at the end of the day, we got to be better.